Hi, my name is Agnés Jasmine, and I'm an artist and empowerment through creative process coach. Empowerment through creative process is a program that I have created myself after many years of work in Poland and in Scotland in private, public, and third sector with with people of different background. And as I was going through different trials and learning my own processes, I was 18 and I moved out from my little village where I spent my childhood with my parents. It took me a really long time to find out who I was in the world. Who we are in the world is about our identity and what we believe that we are. What we believe that we are depends vastly on what we've learned from our parents and at school about ourselves. And there are also norms that apply to us depending on if we carry certain characteristics, for example, color of our skin, sexual orientation, gender, ability and disability, age, but I would also add some other characteristics that are perhaps not so broadly recognized yet. For example, if you are a parent or not. Nowadays we have a very high divorce rate, and less people decide to marry, so that also influences our status in the society and how we are being seen, how we perceive ourselves, what other people think about us, and what do we think about ourselves. So these are changes, social, cultural changes that affect us, and we are part of it. So when we are looking for our identity, we take from all those social descriptions and what we have learned, and what our parents taught us about ourselves, how they saw us, and what our teachers have taught us about ourselves. What did they show us? How did they mirror our value? How did they mirror who we were at the time when they've known us? And when we grow up and we become more mature, we have that capacity to develop our own understanding and stand fully on our own side. What doesn't mean that we stand fully on our own side. It means that we are the only one who knows our life journey from the very beginning to the moment that we are now at. And we are the only one who will accompany ourselves till the end of our life. So if you look back how many people you have met and how many different groups you were part of since you were little until that point in time that you are now in your life, these people and those groups had some ideas about who you are. Perhaps you were a little bit invisible in some of those groups and more visible in others, or perhaps you were always playing similar role in all of them, or perhaps during your lifetime your role has changed because you started being more on your side, meaning you had more compassion towards yourself and more confidence to show yourself the way you were and to protect your boundaries and to be assertive. Because to be part of any group, be it work or in our private life, to really play part in that, we need to find this ground in ourselves that gives us enough safety in order to speak up, to show up, to show who we are. And the same ground allows us to actively listen to others and to respond to what they are saying and to their needs. And in this way we can also negotiate and enhance the aim of the group and work of the group towards it with our own talents, capacities, skills, experience, and so on. So it takes a certain amount of confidence in order to play an active part in the group and in a way in the world, our little part that is aligned with who we are. Now, how to become aligned with who you are? It is a journey of self-discovery in which often we need to look again at what we were told that we were when we were younger or in previous stages of our life. That also influence how we're gonna participate in our day-to-day activities, because we revision what happened and what we thought about what happened in our life and who we were. So it's a process in which we are a bit shaken in a way because things are shifting in ourselves, and that finds its reflection in the outer world. Every change that you are going through in your life has its outer reflection and inner reflection. So it's almost like a dance between what's happening outside of you and what happens inside you. And when you find that ground of safety in yourself, you have more power to influence. It's not about control. We don't have control, but we do have a power to influence what happens, what is to do with our own life, but also with the life of other people. This is what makes a leader, that they influence others, they show the direction, they share their vision, they make the group follow their vision. That's part of leadership. But what I'm talking here is more about your own being with yourself in a way, and making sure that all aspects of your life are aligned with who you really are. And as I have suggested, that requires us to embark on a journey of self-discovery and looking again at all the ideas that we carried about our life and ourselves. If we are lucky, or maybe unlucky, depends how you look at it, we encounter some situations in our life that are difficult enough in order to shake that identity that we were carrying for so long. And all the fake pieces or hidden pieces or pieces that are not truly us falling apart almost by themselves when we encounter a situation that is out of what we used to know. Because in that situation, we need to draw from resources that we didn't even know that they existed in us. We have to quickly learn and revision our strategies, rethink them, find new ones. And sometimes that takes time also to pause. And in a way, we might become a bit like frozen. But that, to me, is an indication that we are going through something very profound. Because when we encounter something that seems too big at first, for example, there were a few difficult events in a row. It could be a divorce, it could be a death in a family, it could be a loss of a job, it could be moving abroad. It could be also that can be seen as something positive. For example, you marry and you move in, or you move in with your partner, or you move together somewhere to a bigger house, or you start a family and a child is being born and there is a big change, or you get a promotion, or you change your career, or something happens that can be seen as a very positive event. Yet something in you becomes frozen because the change seems bigger than what you can deal with at that moment. Well, that sign, that feeling that you are frozen or just like kind of not sure what's happening, means that it takes time to adjust yourself to new circumstances. And there is a strength in you to face what's happening. And if your body and feelings become frozen, that means that you just need more time. And you might be very worried and think that you are depressed and go to a therapist or maybe even psychiatrist or GP and look for some medical support in this process, because you worry that you're not so efficient and not so quick enough anymore, and not so dynamic and not so quickly responding to all the demands of life. But in my view, this is not necessary and can make situation actually worse, because I think it's really worth to trust what happens in ourselves, even if the ego side judges it as something wrong because it's not aligned with the values that we followed so far. Perhaps that change that happened in our life or is happening now is something out of that sphere of values that we used to follow, in which we were so comfortable, or maybe not fully comfortable but efficient. Now the change comes, and that change doesn't fit in this world here, this dynamic world. So the body becomes frozen because it's almost like on a way to somewhere else. The feelings might become frozen. So you might try to go to a specialist and say something's wrong with me and get me back into this. I was efficient. I knew how to take a part in my life, in the society, at work, in the relationship, and now I don't know. So a skillful therapist or mentor or coach or somebody that maybe is not a professional, but your friend, for example, or your husband or wife, whoever it is that you trust, if that person has lots of experience and their own knowledge or path, they've been through some stuff themselves, or they have also been working with other people, if they're a professional, if they're wise, they will not necessarily straight away tell you that you need some kind of fix here, but they will not see that if you cannot be this in this parts, playing that dynamic, efficient part anymore, and you're somewhere else frozen, this is the change here, this is you, this is here, what's been going on so far, and here's the person who tries to fix it, who tries to help you, but not fix you, okay? So if that person is wise, they will kind of be next to you, accompany you in that journey of embracing your feelings and thoughts, and that fear of what's happening if you're not able to run like you used to run. Because that change that has come to your life is making huge impact on this. And part of you has already started adjusting and embracing that change. But perhaps it'd be too quick and not possible to get here fully, to get aligned, because that's completely a different quality than that. You might just completely fall apart. So there is, in my view, a wisdom in the way our body responds to a change. And if it becomes frozen, or we call it often depression, because it's not running, it's not being so efficient, it's slowing down, that not necessarily means that something wrong is happening. It's just a change, a profound change, an important change. And of course, that slowing down is not aligned with the values of a society that runs towards the next goal without stopping and pausing and taking time for reflection, because it is afraid of stopping. Why? Because when we pause, we see things more clearly, and we find in ourselves that courage to question them, and that is not always welcomed. But we are all educated into that culture of running. When we get older, perhaps it's not possible as well to run anymore. So we look back to see what we have learned and what we have achieved, and we are not always satisfied with the answer. So there is a need here to trust in that unfolding process of a change. And in this way, we also learn to become our best friends and our companions in that journey. And we develop that unconditional trust in life, in ourselves as part of life, and in the unfolding of the events. The road still is bumpy, and there is still time of difficulty and struggle, but we become more settled in that ground of I know who I am, because I had found in myself somehow that capacity to withstand the times of difficulty and not, this is a time of difficulty, the transition from here to here, okay? So we are here kind of frozen or depressed. And when we learn to withstand that place of difficulty, when we are not somewhere stable and secure, but we got out of that running and being efficient and dynamic culture, we are somewhere here, we worry. That capacity to withstand that place and not to run for a fix that will bring us back in here, but perhaps either being on our own in this moment or asking for support from someone who's able to accompany us and not dragging us in either direction, because that person should be very neutral. That person should be more like holding and being next to you like a partner, but not pushing you any direction, because it's you who decides. And sometimes it takes really many years of going back into that mode and getting out of it until we find in ourselves very strong presence or belief or trust that comes mostly maybe just from life experience, really, and developing that unconditional friendship with ourselves. And after many years, somehow this seems actually not so difficult anymore. And that becomes our everyday experience and everyday ground, which means that we're not so easily shaken by what's happening in our life anymore. And in a way, we are more calm, more assertive. We know what we need, we know what we want, but we're also able to resign from it and let go, because we've learned that part of life is also sometimes not getting what we want, really, and dealing with it. So it is a bit, I would say, more mature approach to making choices and achieving, because we still work towards our goals, but it is not done in this fashion of being somebody better or being always right or being always wrong as well, because that can be also an identity. There is that ground of knowing who I am today, who I was yesterday, and what I want to experience in my life, and working towards it. And there is a sense of freedom in it, even when it's really difficult. And that sense of freedom comes from standing our ground. Knowing our place and not giving up on it. Not giving up on ourselves.